There is a deadly, silent killer that is infiltrating the majority of men that if you're not careful, it can ruin the fabric of your lifestyle and the potential of your future relationships. And it is not lust, although that is an important one. That's more forward-facing. What I'm talking about is something that creeps up on you in the darkness and takes a hold of you when you least expect it. But before I get into that, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. If you want to learn how to overcome shame and step into your strength as a man, this channel is for you. And it's been a while since I've been back on YouTube making these long form videos, but I've been feeling called to share more because I have a lot to say as I went through kind of a very recent rebrand, which comes with new language, new stories, new things that I want to share. And this video is no different because it's one of the heavy lessons that I had to learn very recently on myself. Pride is one of the things that is man's greatest downfall. Lust is a big one, but that is more of an obvious one. The reason I'm talking about pride specifically is because that can be used as a mask. Now, you'll hear me talk a lot about masks on this channel, but what I define as a mask is anything that you use to hide the true you, your authentic self. Shame will get you creating these masks so you don't have to put your vulnerable, real self out there in the world. And pride, for me, at least for a long time, was a massive mask that I would wear. I felt like I had to have it all figured out, like I had to have all the answers, that I was the guy to go to. And literally, I built my brand around that. Like all the things you see here, all the lighting and the imagery and things like that, it looks great. But for a long portion of my career, my pride was fueling all of that. The mask was I had to know it all. I had to be the guy with every single answer. And the truth is, I don't have all the answers. The truth is, I don't have everything figured out. But back when I started, at 23 years old, young, bright-eyed kid who was just getting new into this industry, I couldn't share that. I couldn't be humble enough to share my process because I thought, well, no one's going to take me seriously. I was a young kid, very little experience in life, still living at home, still trying to figure it out, haven't made a dime online in my coaching business. I thought that I needed to be somebody else, that I needed to have it all figured out. One of my deepest tendencies is to almost act like I know more than I know when I just get into a subject for the first time. Like if I start studying, well, let's take this for example. What I started doing recently was getting more into my faith. And I'm reading the Bible every day, and I'm praying every day, and I'm learning, and I'm looking at different creators. Now, I still have that tendency to be like, okay, I have all the answers now. Let me be the one to speak on it. Let me be the one to teach people about this. I'm trying my hardest not to fall completely victim to that again, but that's just a tendency I have because of my pride. Because I feel like I have to be the guy that everybody respects, that knows what he's doing at all times. And the truth is, I'm still learning. I don't feel comfortable sharing every single thing. I could talk about my process, and I could talk about where I'm going, but I would never market myself as like a theological scholar or a biblical scholar and share all these things and throw off Bible verses off the top of my head. I'm just not there yet. Will I ever be there? I don't know. But that's not my intention with this channel, nor is it the direction of my brand at all. But pride will do that and have you thinking that you're a lot further along than you are just to seem like someone who is intelligent or worthy or an authority on a subject. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about where my pride at least comes from. And if you find yourself in my story, that's amazing. And then I want to tell you how to overcome this pride, or at least how I'm beginning to overcome my pride. See, for me, this started at a young age. I grew up in an environment and in a modeled after me that you had to be the guy with all the answers, that you had to figure it out. Otherwise, that meant you weren't good enough. I remember vividly being on jobs with my dad back in the day, and I loved going with him. It was fun, working with my hands. He's an electrician. I would do things and just help out. But there's a lot of times that I didn't know what I was doing. Right? I was a kid. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I was just touching stuff and doing things and just following his lead, and sometimes I'd mess up. And I remember also getting yelled at a lot for that because I messed up. The problem was I was never actually shown the right way to do it. I was kind of just like pushed to the side, and he took over and I was like, hey, let me do it. Let me figure it out. And as a young kid, that taught me that there's no real room for growth. There's no real room for learning and having a process to figure things out when I don't know the answer. So for me, the pride started to come up a lot more. I wanted to be the guy that knew everything. I wanted to be the guy that studied this subject, maybe not in its full capacity, but I knew enough to where I could start sharing and spreading information and reading books and start talking about this subject like I was an expert. That became a crutch to just be noticed, to just be paid attention to just feel like I was worthy enough to be significant. In order to get the attention, I need to have all of the answers. I needed to be the guy, the go-to guy. And that carried along into my adulthood. I still study things a lot now. I'm a nerd when it comes to research and when it comes to looking at certain subjects that I'm interested in. But I want to approach that much differently now that I'm in my early 30s, of being a student for life, not being the quote-unquote expert. I almost like to call myself more of a curious educator. I have some answers, not all the answers, but the ones that I do know, I know pretty well. And I've helped clients, I've helped people throughout that process. But again, I'm still very much learning as much as I am teaching the things that I know about. And that is why pride is such a deadly, unforeseen thing for men, is because we think that we're doing good. A lot of the times we think that we're being productive, or we're leading, or we're coming from a place of strength. But we're confusing it with ego. We're confusing it with validation seeking, with approval seeking, because our pride won't let us see our own shortcomings. Maybe I shouldn't talk about this yet, or maybe I should spend a little bit more time figuring this out before I blurt out an answer like I know definitively what I'm talking about. Or even worse, not ask for help. That was a big one for me, because I had the know-it-all mask. That's what I like to call it, the prideful mask. I didn't want to ask for help. And a lot of men carry that. They don't want to seek out coaching or mentorship or guidance in any way. They don't even ask their friends for support, because they think that they have to figure it out all on their own. And they get into confinement, which is another mechanism of shame. One of what I call the 4 C's of shame. You get into confinement. You lock yourself out from the rest of the world. You shut people out. You hold people at an arm's distance because you think, that's what it means to be a man. I need to stand on my own 2 feet and never have any support. And it's just wrong, man. And I'll tell you that I'm speaking from experience. All the stuff I'm talking about is stuff that I've experienced. And that's why I feel called to share it and talk about it. Because the shame will have you stuck in this perpetual loop of feeling unworthy, of feeling not good enough, which is what the core of all this comes down to. So we have to wear the pride as a mask to seem like we're worthy, or because deep down we don't feel worthy, so that's how we project it. Look at all this information I know. Look at how I'm doing things all on my own. Look at how I'm the centerpiece of everything that I'm doing. And it gets to our head. Pride can be the downfall of many, many men, and it was almost mine for a long time. So what is the solution? The solution, well, is the exact opposite of pride. What's the opposite of pride? Humility. Humbleness. You can see in the Bible it talks about meekness, which is kind of different than how it sounds. To be meek is to be humble, but to also be strong in your humbleness, to not take that as weakness, that you're just going to roll over, but a gentle understanding that you don't know everything, that you're still a student of life, but you're also very capable and very competent in what you do know. Being a humble servant is more of the identity that I'm choosing to walk into in this season of my business, of my life, in my relationships. I'm just sick of wearing the mask, man. It's been such a long time that I've had that one on, because I felt like I had to for such a long time. I felt like I had to receive love, to be worthy, to be taken seriously. And I know that you might be feeling that exact way, maybe just in a different context, but the feeling is the same. Pride has been a protection mechanism for you for such a long time that it's felt like it's normal. It's felt like it's been you, but that hasn't been you. It's simply shame creating a mask that's worn over the true, authentic version of you. It's not your real self. It's what is attempting to protect the part of you, the child that feels afraid, or unworthy, unlovable, insignificant. You got to practice humility. One Bible verse that I can quote, because this is one that sticks out to me, is James 4:6. It says, God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. Humble yourself enough to know that you don't know everything, that you're a guy with many flaws, many limitations, many blind spots, as am I. But also stand strong in your confidence. There are things that you do know. There are things that you do have the capabilities and the gifts and the skills and the talents and the abilities in. But don't let that overshadow your constant search for wisdom and your constant search for growth opportunities. Because sometimes pride will shield these opportunities because you think that you don't need them. We all need something. We all need someone to teach us and guide us and walk us through our own blind spots that we don't see. That's why I've invested well over $50,000 some dollars in coaching within the last 3 to 4 years. I take my growth very seriously, and I try to approach every one of those conversations with a mentor extremely humble. I'm also a mentor myself. I make my clients very clear that I'm still learning a lot about myself. I'm still going through my own process, and to tell you the truth, you'll never not be going through a process. It's a constant learning experience. So if you approach that with grace, humility, openness, I think you'll find yourself a lot less stressed when you don't have an answer. Because you don't need to know all the answers in order to be a man who's significant and respected in the eyes of others. So hopefully this made sense. It's a very deep subject. I'm getting a lot more into deeper topics like this because of the rebrand. I talk a lot about shame and how men have suffered, myself included, have suffered from shame for a very long time. And what has that created in our lives? I have the belief that we as men are seeking to become strong. That word for me, strength, is just kind of synonymous with seeking growth, seeking actualization, seeking your purpose. We look for strength, but what do we find in its place? Shame. Not on purpose, but it was just shown to us through our upbringing, through the models that we've seen online of different content creators, different masculine coaches and spaces. Dude, I've been there, man. And it can be very confusing to navigate all these different things. And these guys saying, this is what a real man is, and you're not a real man unless you sleep with 50 women, or you're not a real man unless you have a six-pack, or you're not a real man until you have a Lamborghini, and all these things. And it boils down to materialism. And it comes down to your inner self and how you view who you are. Your identity is laced in the shame because you think these things will prop you up and make you a man, but it rarely, if ever, does. So that's my approach on being different in this space. Is I want to teach you how to be strong internally, not just physically, even though that's important, but an internal strength that is aligned with the identity that God has given you over your life. Being fully authentic, unapologetically you is the strongest version of yourself that you can be. And I'm going on a bit of a tangent right here because it's been a while since I've been on YouTube, but I just want to let you know moving forward, this is the type of content that I'm going to be putting out here. This is the kind of the channel that I want to have, where it's just a conversation between me and you, and we're going deep, man. We're uncovering things that maybe you haven't looked at in a long time, or maybe you've never looked at. But I want to let you know that I'm here for you. And I've been through this work probably for the last 10 years. The last 3 or 4 years, I took it really seriously. But I learned a lot about myself and how men specifically get into these distractions and fall into avoidance and fall into these different things that really take us away from doing the work that matters to get us the results that we really desire: a wife, a family, financial freedom, a business. These things are what we want, but sometimes it feels like we're treading water and not really getting anywhere. So if anything that I just said is resonating, you're going to want to subscribe to the channel because I have a lot more on the way talking about those specific things. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's totally fine. Maybe this isn't the channel for you, but I want to talk to men, specifically Christian men, that want to deepen their relationship with themselves, with God especially, and really understand what your calling is, how you can be more of a strong man without all the fluff, without all the BS that exists out there and putting on all the mask and all the shame and all the additional things that we think that we need, and learning how to come home to yourself, because that's really where your strength lies. So if you're curious about any of that and you have questions, you want to ask me a question, go check out my Instagram. I'm going to link it down below. I'm active there every single day, so I can get back to you a lot sooner, most likely, than here on YouTube. And if you want to work with me personally, I only take on a select handful of guys every so often. I have 8 spots available between now and January, because I'm launching a new program in January to deal with these specific things about shame and stepping into your strength. If that sounds like something you want to dive into, I'll leave my calendar link down below so you can apply for a call to see if you're a good fit for the program, and then we can go from there. Otherwise, man, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I was kind of all over the place. I guess I'm finding my footing again when it comes to making long form YouTube videos. I've really just been making shorts and reels up to this point, so I want to take a stab at getting back into long form stuff, because like I said, I have a lot to say, and I'm sure you could see that in this video. Don't want to make this video too long. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Give it a like, comment down below if you want to get in touch with me, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos just like this one. Understand that you always have a choice of who it is that you would like to be. Catch you in the next video, brother. Peace.